man. Detroit Pistons clinch the Central Division with a big victory over the Toronto Raptors. First time they clinched the Central Division since 2008. So I believe it's been 18 years since that happened. K made his first public appearance since the collapsed lung. At this point, I think they 4 or 5 games up on Boston. About 6-7 games up on New York, something like that. And it all boils down, and they hold the tiebreaker over both of them. So you probably can add a game on to whatever it actually is. And that's the beauty of front running. The beauty of front running is, you can go hard in the beginning, and then you have room for error. When you start off a little slow, yeah, you can finish hot, but ain't too much room for error, and that's a different mental approach. So they able to rest Isaiah Stewart, they able to rest guys, and I think when you look at Sam Mitchell, he used to be on NBA TV, played for Minnesota, big fella. He's up there in Toronto, and I think he played in Toronto too, and he said that he feels that the Raptors are more talented than the Pistons. And what people don't understand about them Piston teams that be successful is the camaraderie. Camaraderie. That's what make Oklahoma City Thunder so successful. Camaraderie. The egos are checked at the door. And this is what happens when you build the natural foundation. These guys can grow together. They lose together. They remember what it's like to lose, and they win together. When you start adding inorganic pieces, that's when it started to get tricky, and that's what makes the Pistons so good. They camaraderie, the fluidity of the team. Everybody, even when Ivy would say everybody knew their role, he wasn't trying to overstep Cade Cunningham. Cade wasn't trying to overstep him. Him and Dern understand they the cornerstones. Isaiah Stewart know his place. Dennis Jenkins found his place. Kevin Huerter came in. That's what happened when you got a system and you can plug and play. So, you can talk about talent. You can have, 15 talented all-stars on there, but it don't mean they gonna win, because people have to be willing to sacrifice. And that's what the Pistons got. They got a bunch of guys who able to sacrifice parts of their game to boost up other people's parts of their game. Ain't nobody bitching, ain't nobody complaining. Think about the 04 Pistons that won it. Eldon Campbell was in the deep freezer all year, but when they needed him to put a body on Shaq, he did his thing. And rest in peace to Eldon Campbell. Rest in power to that brother. Everybody, Corliss Williams knew his role. The 2 junkyard dogs and the pit bulls in the backcourt, Mike James, Lindsey Hunter knew their role. Rasheed came in and knew his role. You know what I'm saying? You got to know your role. You can be all talented, but if you fighting to talk about who team it is and who this and who that, man, it's a tough gig. And the Pistons, they understand who they are. They understood when they came from. So when you have a lot of success early on, and that shout out to the Golden State Warriors too, because they had some failures, but they had a lot of quick success, and they always stayed together. Even though Clay had to get out of there, they always stayed together. Even when they added Kevin Durant, it got a little bit of. They did a little bitch shit at the end when they was leaking stuff about he really ain't injured and he just want to prove a point. And that was Draymond probably doing that whole ass shit. You know what I'm saying? But for the most part, they did a great job of checking their egos at the door until the end. And that's tough to do. That's like you at your job, and they ask you to take a step back from being the supervisor and take $10 less, whatever it may be. You like, oh, hell no. You know what I'm saying? You like, hell no. But yeah, man, I'm happy. They clinched it. I believe Toronto's in their division. I believe it is. I don't know the basketball divisions like I used to, but Toronto's in that division, right? So yeah, that was rightfully so. They're a team that's on the rise. Most people believe Indiana be back next year. I see Jason Tatum playing really good for Boston right now. But most people believe Indiana be back in the mix next year. So division get tough. Don't know what's gonna happen with Giannis. The owner made some comments about him, and I don't think these streets is hot for Giannis as they were. And I'm gonna explain. I mean, one of the big reasons is because, he said he don't want to play with a ball dominant guard. That's hard to find. And then, you can't shoot, so it's a lot of accommodations, for you if you can't shoot. So it's a lot of people got to accommodate for him. A lot of people got to accommodate for him. So that's it, but Milwaukee could just be in a rebuild. Indiana could be back, but they probably trying to land a top guy. But they lost a lot of guys. I mean, and that's a small market thing. Is that, the minute they don't win it or they do win it, they feel like, oh, we got to hit the reset button. Got rid of Miles Turner, got rid of Benedict Mathurin. They don't want to pay him. So, but the Hornets, I think, Orlando is about to make a major move. I think they're going to end up landing Giannis. I think they done with Paolo or Franz. One of them going to be gone. So, Atlanta, we'll see if they can rebound. There's a lot of, rising teams in the East. When you look out West, it's a lot of established old motherfuckers. That's why people think the West is so much better than the East. Yeah, Wemby and Oklahoma City Thunder, no doubt about it. But after that, the Rockets don't scare you. KD is on his way out. The Lakers don't scare you because, Luka, he don't play winning basketball. Phoenix, they kind of still figuring it out. Minnesota don't have enough, regardless of what they think. They just don't have enough around Anthony Edwards. Denver is kind of on their way down, a veteran team. They try to rejuvenate themselves. And Jesus Christ, thank God that we didn't get Cam Johnson, because, he ain't got no durability to him. So you started looking at, and I feel like Portland was going to make a jump this year with Chauncey, though. And, Chauncey's situation is, it is what it is. But I think Portland was going to make a monster jump this year. I think they was going to make a jump. And they could, I don't think, without Chauncey, it was a little bit hard to make that jump. I think they was prepared to make that jump. But yeah, people just looking, it's just names. Golden State, they just names. What I'm saying? They just names out there, but the West, they got some dudes in waiting. New Orleans, I think Portland, if they can figure it out, they got some guys there's some teams that, can make a jump if they can figure it out. Dallas, with couple more moves, they might be back, but yeah, man, we'll see what happens with the Pistons. Good at clinching it. It's always a team effort when we good. So check out Detroit Pistons Talk playlist. Thumbs up the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel. The subscribe button is the bell icon button. Hit all notifications, increase your chance to get notifications. We go live and drop video. Find me on X, Instagram, Spotify, Anchor, Cash App, Venmo, PayPal. Appreciate the love and support. Peace.